Hello and welcome to Discourse of Peacocks. I hope you all had a fabulous Christmas, and that was simply topped off by Leeds United winning away at Stoke City. So obviously today we're going to be discussing Stoke City 0, Leeds United 2, where the Whites were completely dominant to the point where we had 77% possession throughout the game. We limited Stoke to 3 shots all game. And I think they had the same amount of touches as a team in our box that Joel Piroe did on his own. So I think that says how effectively we smothered Stoke City. And despite the weather, we came out with a convincing win. And we did do it on a cold, wet, damp, misty night at Stoke City. So let's get straight into it. We'll go straight into the good. Obviously, Piroe. I think he was my man of the match. It was close between him and Bogle, but I think that I've been probably a lot more complimentary towards Bogle, so I think it is only right for Piroe to have his flowers. The first goal was a fantastic goal, and if you were to give that chance to any of the Leeds United team, he would be the one that I would want to be taking that shot. It was absolutely, he kept so calm and composed under pressure where most other players, I believe, when it comes to the second attempt, fluff their lines because of the fact that they kind of don't know what to do. Whereas because he is just so chilled, he's practically horizontal. I think that really worked in his favour for a moment like that. So that goal was fantastic. Obviously, the second goal was the header with another assist for Dan James, my boy. And I think that that header reminded me of the Norwich game where it was the Nonto cross in the second leg of the playoffs where he then headed it in. Either way, it was a brilliant goal, and it was the ultimate kind of like poaching goal in terms of he was just exactly where he needed to be. And that has been one of the most probably frustrating things about Piroe this season, is because he is a 9.5 rather than an out and out number 9. I think that sometimes he isn't always in the positions where the wingers, especially Dan James coming from that right-hand side, want him to be, but he was then. And we all could just take a nice kind of breath. They didn't really offer much, but we've seen in multiple games this season, and especially last season, that you don't need to give teams near the bottom a great deal in order for them to get something out of the game, set pieces or just a mistake or just missing, on our part, missing too many opportunities. So yeah, the second goal was exactly what we needed at the time that we needed it as well. They didn't really offer much in that second half, other than obviously the first few minutes in the first half. They didn't really offer much throughout the game. Probably one of the poorest performances I've seen of any team away from home. And I was astounded with how empty the stadium was. I know that they're struggling, and I know that they have been struggling for a couple of years. They've not done well since they got relegated from the Premier League. I don't think they've finished in playoff places since they got relegated. So to go from the Premier League and not even have kind of like a championship bounce when you've got parachute payments and things, I think that's quite difficult for fans, understandably, to understand. So the support was not great. But on the flip side, our support, and I would expect no less, was absolutely incredible. You could hear us from the very first minute all the way through to the very end. I've watched a few podcasts of Stoke City fans, and you could really get the Leeds atmosphere. It was just incredible. I think it almost felt the same kind of volume that we've had at some of the home games this season. But everybody just looked to be having a really good time, and it wasn't great weather or anything like that. So the fact that the Leeds United team turned up and put on a performance for our incredibly loyal and dedicated away fans is just superb. And the fans did not let us down. You know, they never do, but they were certainly not quiet as well. Especially loved the our little Sky TV is song you could hear quite comprehensively on the TV, which put an extra smile on my face for sure. I've already mentioned it, but Dan James' assist, I think he could have had a couple of assists if either he'd have put maybe a slightly better ball in and other people had have chosen a better foot or body part to get on the end of. Bogle, I think it was his best game since Sheffield United. I thought he was everywhere. He was so crucial in all of our kind of attacking attempts, especially in the first half, but he didn't stop. And he was really, he wouldn't allow us to sit back after Piroe scored the second. Bogle was still making those charging runs and still kind of, I don't know, geeing everybody up to continue. And I think, again, had a couple of things happened. You know, we've been a little bit more clinical, and also if the goalkeeper had just rolled over and just allowed us to inflict the pain that we probably should have done by scoring a few more goals, then I certainly think Bogle would have got a goal and probably an assist as well. So we'll go back onto the defence side of things. We have to mention Meslier. I've been incredibly critical of him, and I believe deservedly so, but I will always give a player their flowers and props if they have performed well. And Meslier saved us from what could have been an incredibly painful game, because if they get that goal in the first 2 minutes of the game, it's different. They can just shut down and not do anything and not make any kind of attempts on our goal. You know, they only made 3 shots at our goal anyway. But if they'd have scored that first goal in, I think it was just under 2 minutes, I would have hated the Leeds social media atmosphere afterwards if that had have happened, because I wouldn't have seen us getting the win had they have scored first. So props to Meslier for making a save. It wasn't the most kind of outrageous save. It was a very kind of run of the mill, but you probably wouldn't have expected it in the first 2 minutes, because that's usually when we come out of the blocks kind of absolutely at the opposition. So the fact that they did, and the fact that they got their shot off, you know, well done Stoke and well done Meslier for keeping us in it at that point. It could have been a very different Boxing Day had he not done that. Aronson, I thought he had a couple of really good shots from outside of the box, put the goalkeeper under pressure, and that poor goalkeeper, like obviously I know they lost, but he definitely kept them in the game, and made some fairly, you know, some saves that we would have been envious if, you know, if it had been the other way around. I don't know whether Meslier makes all of those saves. So I thought it was one of Aronson's best performances. I know he didn't score or technically get an assist or anything, but his overall team play and his strengths of winning the ball back, the fact that he took some shots as well. I'll never resent a player taking an opportunity if we're not desperate. You know, when people are taking desperate opportunities, that's something different, but we weren't desperate. And I like to see that, because it just, again, adds a different kind of dynamic of what Leeds can do. We don't always have to run everything into the kind of, you know, we don't just have to funnel everything into the centre and walk the ball in. We can actually take shots from outside of the box. So I'm more than happy with Aronson doing that, especially his one on the 17th minute, I think it was. I just thought he looked really sharp. And considering obviously he played on Saturday, and I would presume he will play again on Sunday, I would be all right with him being rested. But he did enough for me, if he feels up to it, to start on Sunday. If we can basically copy and paste this performance and do it away at Derby, I don't see any other result than a Leeds win. We had 20 shots, but only 5 of them were on target. So I would hope that we could improve that. Even if the actual goals don't go in, I still think we need to test the goalkeepers more. We're clearly creating plenty away from home, similar amounts to what we create at Elland Road. So if we can just increase that a little bit, that would, but this is just me being nitpicky. I thought Ampadu and Rothwell worked really well. You can tell that Ampadu has been around the training ground throughout his kind of rehabilitation, because I thought him and Rothwell, the chemistry was really good, considering they've only played small amounts of actual game time together. So I was really happy with that. I think I'm not alone in feeling incredibly shocked that Tanaka was dropped. I'm pleased because I sometimes think Tanaka's, I don't know whether it's the fact that he's foreign, and sometimes we do tend to not get as excited about kind of English names. And the fact, obviously, Rothwell's a lone player, whereas Tanaka is ours. You would always hope that the homegrown player would get kind of a slight advantage. But Rothwell, for me, has been our biggest threat with set pieces, and against a team that are going to obviously have a low block against us, that could have been crucial. So I think that was a very risky, but it worked, manoeuvre by Daniel Farke. Obviously, good game and man management when it comes to we've got a game on Sunday. So fantastic. Ramazani's corners, I didn't think were that bad either, considering the corners that we've had from wingers over the last few years. Obviously, he wasn't a Rothwell type of corner taker, but I still think that had the fog not have come back in right near the end of the game, we potentially could have had a little bit of joy, and we certainly caused some confusion and did get it into a bit of a dangerous area. So yeah, it just gives me kind of a little bit of hope that if Rothwell isn't on the pitch, we haven't just completely lost the ability to take a set piece, or a corner, should I say. Final good thing, clean sheet. We know Daniel Farke loves a clean sheet. I think Meslier, for that first couple of minutes save, I know he didn't really have much to do after that, but I think he deserved that clean sheet for kind of just his input in the game, and the fact that if he lets that go in, the dynamic and the atmosphere of the game and the tension in the ground and potential to give opposition fans a reason to chant and things like that, I think that, yeah, Meslier deserved that clean sheet, and all of the defenders and everybody deserved the clean sheet. I think we really found our drive as a unit and our drive as a team. We just looked really, I don't know, we haven't looked that cohesive since probably the Bielsa days, where just everybody knew where everybody was going to be. And that, for me, is so underrated. The fact that somebody can make a movement and the next person knows what's, like the different trigger point, and they know what's going to happen next, and they can read the body language of another player and think, I need to help out, or I need to make a run because they're looking for somebody to pass it to. I just love that kind of fluidity that we have at the minute, which I think is just completely underrated. Let's move on to the very nitpicky bad element of the game. Again, this is a repeating kind of feature, which is we could have scored more. I'm thinking specifically the Dan James cross and the Solomon miss. Joseph as well missed a couple when he came on, but he looked lively. He looked hungry as well, which I don't think we've seen for a couple of games. He's looked a little bit withdrawn. So I think the fact that Joseph looked hungry, Ramazani looked hungry, Nonto looks slightly livelier as well. Obviously didn't get, none of them got any actual goal contributions, but I think the game was done. They didn't really need to do much. But yeah, we could have scored more. That clinical edge is still lacking from a lot of our chances. I think Piroe is the most clinical person in the squad. But yeah, like I said, it's got to be really, really nitpicky. The second nitpicky is we didn't start off fully focused. Obviously, hence Melier having to make a save. It's very rare that against a team that are clearly going to implement a low block that we would face such a close call so early on in a game. And that was clearly their kind of their MO, was to try and get something quick so that they could then just sit back and defend for their lives. But yeah, we need to not rest on our laurels and just kind of think that, oh, well, we're all right starting slow because they won't come at us because they're going to play a low block. We have to make sure that we are focused from minute 1 to minute 90, and there's no excuse for anybody's concentration dropping within that time. The final one, again, isn't really an us thing. It was just the fog. I was almost concerned at points that the game might get called off. The game started ridiculous. You could barely see anything. I've seen some of the pictures on the Leeds social media and about the 4K, everything being 4K, and you just not been able to see a thing. Obviously, the fog then lifted until into the second half, where it then descended again, and you were just hoping that everybody was just happy enough to continue. But yeah, if the weather could just improve, that would be much better for everybody involved. We will go on to the final section, which is the top. I think that's fairly self-explanatory as well. We are top of the league, and this isn't just we're top of the league, but if Sheffield win their game in hand, then they go top. This actually now means we are top of the league. It is ours to lose, which does make me a little bit scared because, my inner Leeds fan is, just kind of thinks of worst case scenarios. But it's actually ours. Yes, Sheffield United and us are on the same points, but our goal difference is just so superior to everybody's. We've scored the most goals. We've scored 43 goals now. And we have the best goal difference of plus 28. I believe Sheffield United are on plus 19 or plus 21. I can't remember. They are on 19. They were on 21, but obviously they lost. They lost 2-0 to Burnley. So we are now actually top. Nobody can take that off us unless we drop points. If we just continue winning, it doesn't matter what everybody else does because we continue to do that. Top of the form table, first in the home section, fourth in the away, which is better than we were a few weeks ago. I think we were down in either 7th or 8th in the away form table. Before this game, we'd won 83% of our games at home, but only 30% of our games away. So that is a huge difference between the two. We'd scored we had 31 points from home games and 14 points from away games. Again, massive discrepancy between those two figures. So now that we've got a win at a really difficult place, and I know they're not like a good team, but you don't have to be a good team to be difficult and to kind of dampen the fire of more attacking teams like us. We lost there 1-0 to a Strauch own goal, which until I was listening to one of the commentators, I rewatched the game this morning, I hadn't realised I completely had managed to kind of blank it out of my memory. Obviously, I remember that Bamford missed the penalty, but then it was actually a Strauch own goal. So yeah, we were just completely done in that game last year. So the fact that we not only didn't lose, we won, got a clean sheet, won by 2 clear goals. Yeah, absolutely incredible. Does the run start now? Is this where we see the run that we had from New Year's Day last year? Oh, well, technically 2024. Do we see that run starting now, with a really convincing in every metric away performance at Stoke? Do we see that run starting? I would love to think that we could do the double over Derby. I know it's not Frank Lampard's Derby, but I would still love to be able to do it. I know that Derby are actually on quite good home form at the moment, so I am cautiously optimistic. If we do what we did against Stoke, I genuinely don't see any other result than a Leeds win, but we have to copy and paste it. And there may need to be rotation of personnel as well to make sure that we don't. That actually leads me into my next point about our depth in midfield. The fact that we were able to rest Tanaka, I couldn't even think of the possibility of resting Tanaka a few games ago. We were so dependent on his kind of not just solidity, but his creativity, his look for forward passes, his kind of cross-ball switches of play. And the fact that he didn't come on until we'd basically won the game, I think it was about the 75th minute or something like that, he came on. And he didn't need to do anything. He was able to just chill out, really. And, we were able to rest Rothwell for the last kind of 10, 15 minutes of the game. The fact that we have multiple options and we don't even have everybody back. We don't have Gruev back. I think that that's something that is absolutely just outstanding. Love it. Love the depth. One actual point left, which is January is key to promotion, of the fact that we still need reinforcements. We can't just think because we've got some players back from injury that we don't need to invest in January, because teams like Sheffield United, especially under new ownership, for me, they will want to show the fans, show the league, show the manager that they have full investment in the full running of the club and not just there to pick up paychecks. They will be there to try and actually win the league and get promotion. So Leeds United cannot do what they did in January 2024 and just get one player in. We need a 10. There's the argument to say we potentially need a 9 as well. I know Piroe scored twice, and I'm not undermining or anything, undermining what he did in this game at all. But we have seen that he goes like that. He does go missing in certain games. And if it's not the game for him, he can be more of a burden than an asset. And we cannot afford that this season. So January is key for us to remain in the top 2 and hopefully the actual top. That would be, the ultimate cherry on top. So yeah, let me know what you think. I think that's everything, really. It's a little bit shorter. I've managed to maybe knock it down by 5 minutes. I'm so proud. Please like, subscribe, and comment below if you agree, disagree, have any thoughts, feelings on the game. Give me your thoughts on what your predictions are for the Derby game. If anybody's seen me on other shows, I hate giving actual score predictions. But if we play like we did against Stoke, against Derby, I think we win. I'm not willing to put a number on it, but I do think we win if we play like that. So yeah, please subscribe to the channel if you would like. Then please become a member. Details of that will be down below. But yeah, hope you enjoy the rest of your festive period until Sunday, and hopefully you'll be able to enjoy it after that as well, because we'll obviously come home with the 3 points. All right, I'll see you guys later. Bye.